This is Mahesh Ravi, and today it's kind of a special video. I just stumbled upon this portfolio by Axel Durand, and I thought it will be an interesting case to present it to my students and whoever is watching this particular video. It's a really clever work, right? So I just wanted to walk you through this. So the website is axeldurand.eu, and the moment you start using this website, so let me just go there directly, and this is how the website starts, right? So you can see that there is motion by default in here, where selections of works are actually moving upwards in a diagonal direction, and there are a couple of things which are happening, right? The first thing that you might actually notice is that towards the top, when it actually reaches the edge of the browser real estate, it the thumbnails are getting pixelated and it's sort of fading away. So it's a very interesting effect. It's a very interesting visual hook that is actually there. There is a lot of drama in here, but the interesting thing about this particular portfolio is that the moment you start, you are actually given a narrative here, right? The narrative starts. It's actually telling you a story without you being, initiating anything. It's usually in a portfolio. Normally, what we would try and do is that we will have some static stuff which is happening there, and then we might. Even though there is motion, it is usually triggered by a scroll. It's by a click or something like that, but nothing of that sort is happening here. It's just basically starting to tell the story without we being a part of it, right? So it gave me, even before clicking on anything in here and interacting with it, it gave me an idea of the designer, what kind of works he does. Very interesting technique, right? It gave you context, so it builds your interest to see what is next. Now if you come here, the visual elements that you see here is basically these pieces of work, which seems a little random, but it's not. It is sort of using a modular grid structure to arrange these thumbnails. And on the top, you'll see his title, which is written with a very basic typography, with a very basic kerning, font selection, font weight, and everything. It's very normal, right? Um, the reason could be that we are actually not being distracted by it. It just is an element which is sort of like a helper that tells us who that guy is. You can see the same kind of typography being used at the bottom, but as we move, we can see that there is a little bit of animation happening here. There is this fading out and coming into the light and all that thing which is happening there. On the top also, we can see three major you know um, touch points. One is work, lab, and about. Now, talking about it, there is one more thing that actually is sort of an overlay which says view all, which maybe if you click on this, it is going to take us to the works page, right? That's how it works. But there is another interesting thing. When you're actually starting to move around your mouse, you notice that there is this hand icon. The cursor changes to a hand, and you can basically play around with it, right? So you can just grab it, push it, pull it. You can just play around with this to see a work, like something that you missed and you want to just take a look at this. You can just bring it in and you can take a look at that, right? So it's very interesting ways to give or make people interact with your website without forcing it on them. So now, if you click on works, and you can see again there is a superscript which says 12 next to work, so maybe 12 projects, and next to lab it says soon, so it is not active yet, it might come, and then there is an about. So let's take a look at work. When we click on work, it takes you to a works page. It's sort of like a grid which shows work. Again, it works the same scheme, the animation scheme from the previous work, where towards the end, it's sort of like when it comes to the view, it's sort of pixelizing and coming into view. And also you can see one other interesting thing, right? When you just move, you can see there is an animation that happens, that there is a slight bit of waving that is happening here. um, in this context it actually looks interesting, right? So when you are here you can see all these things. The hand gesture is not working, that particular interaction is not there, and it's very clear because the cursor is still a cursor, so you know that it is now a mouse. You cannot just pull and push stuff. So you come in here and you can see projects, and you can click on the to reveal those projects. So if I click on one particular project, it opens up again with a very basic center aligned text about what the project is all about. And if you scroll down, you can see the details of the project. There is a previous project and next project CTA right there. There's no other way to close this. That I found it a little weird, because if you want to close this and go to the previous view, your option is either to click on the works, or you have to come all the way and choose the next works. So that's fine. So I'm clicking on works. It goes back to that works page, and you can see all these stuff in here. One other thing that I wanted to point out, and it will be more clear if you actually come to the about section in here, and you can see it's just typography. There is not much stuff there. There is no imagery. There are no colors. It makes you focus on the type. Now, this is where the influence of editorial design will help you a lot when you are building a portfolio. And if you want to basically use type as your main element without using any of the other shortcuts like images or colors or shapes, editorial exposure is really good. And there are three qualities of an editorial design. One is simplicity. It's very simple. It's very easy to understand because it's text, right? So we need to read it at the earliest possible way. So simplicity is the first qualifier for a good editorial design. Then there is modularity. So modularity is basically all these elements are acting as blocks that can be changed anytime that you want. So that's the concept of modularity, right? It's adaptable to any space that you get. So if you look at this, and if I'm just taking it like that, you can see that this particular modularity helps when the website actually goes to a responsive territory, right? When you're watching it in different screens. So modularity, the concept or the principles of modularity is something that we learn in editorial design, how to block text the pieces, how to arrange it, how to try different treatments of it, how to put it on top, how to put it on side, create sidecar elements of text. All of this is something that you learn from editorial design. So simplicity and modularity. And the last thing is the clarity. So how clear this information is. How are you able to understand a story from all this, right? How will you connect this block to this block and to this block? So all of those things are clarity, how clear the whole structure is. So if you make something really small, if you make something, the position of it is very weird for people to connect it to the other stuff, it will be a mess. So in editorial design, these three things are the parameters that you have to master first when we were studying. So simplicity, modularity, and clarity. So if you look at this design uses that, and that's one of the reason the website looks so professional, so neat. And I'm not actually talking about the works inside this, but even if you look at the works that is actually there, it shows the capacity or the capability of this designer as an editorial or a publishing designer. So if you look at this, the way that he plays around with typography, the kerning, the scaling, everything basically shows that discipline, which is really hard for other designers from other mediums, like who are working in basically social media design, because the psyche actually works completely different there. So but then this discipline is actually really really important. So this was really really interesting. Axel Durand, really good work. And yeah, that's what I want to share with you. Check it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I will see you soon.